Welcome to TNT Sports Talk. Today is Tuesday, February 5th. As always, we're presented by D's Home Cuts. I'm your host, Travis Karcheski. Just me today. I know we had the show on Friday with Truman and Brian, but that was kind of an outlier because of the snow days and class were being canceled due to the weather. But again, it's not me the whole time. We do have an interview later in the show with Texans offensive lineman Kendall Lamm. We had about 15 minutes with him, so you get to hear that towards the end of the show. Great interview. We'll talk about it more when we get there, but a great guy, a great guest to have on. So you'll love that. Check it out in a little bit. But let's talk about where we're going to start with first. That's football. We're going to start with football. We're going to start with the Super Bowl on Sunday. 13-3. The Patriots won their 6th Super Bowl. Tom Brady continues to just stack up rings, and same with Bill Belichick. They just continue to win. And it was a pretty boring game. To most fans, they would look at that game and they'd say, I'm never going to watch that again. It was boring. It wasn't a shootout like we're used to. It wasn't, Chiefs, type of offense where they're putting up 40, 50 points. It was a boring, very defensive that we're not used to in the NFL. Both coaching staffs really went at each other. They really threw everything they could to stop their offense, and it really worked. Belichick and Wade Phillips called a hell of a game. The special teams really went back and forth. And it was a really good game all around for them. Defensively, you look at somebody on the Rams, Fowler and Sue, really had, I think, some of their best games as a Ram and as a football player. They played really well. And the Patriots, Gilmore went off in that game. I think he had the interception, and then he had a fumble that went out of bounds. But it was a really good game for defense all around. The special teams as well. I know we had the longest punt in NFL history in the Super Bowl, so that was cool. But it was a punt game. I think we got to the fourth quarter. There wasn't any red zone until the fourth quarter, until Michelle punched it in towards the end. It was a really good game though. If you're looking at it, it's not the high-scoring shootout type of game we're used to with some of the best teams in the NFL this year, but it was a really good game. I think Belichick using the zero blitz there at the end to kind of pressure Goff to throw that one up to Gilmore was amazing. It was one of the best calls I've seen all year. To not use a zero blitz until the fourth quarter to kind of hide it until the last second of the game was genius. Belichick just does those type of things, and that's what makes him the best coach of all time, or one of them. He held something that most guys use multiple times a game, a zero blitz where you just blitz everybody and there's no possible way that they're going to be able to block everybody. To use that in the last possible second, to save that in your pocket until the last possible second was genius. It was so smart of him, and that's what makes him one of the best. MVP Edelman, 10 catches, 141 yards. He went off in that game, former Kent State grad. Shout out to Kent State. He has been Brady's safety blanket, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs. If Brady is in trouble, if he doesn't know where to go, he just checks down up the middle to Julian Edelman, and he fixes it for him, and he gets a nice catch up the middle. That's all he does. Every single time, it's a third down or whatever, it's a passing play, look for Edelman up the middle because he's always going to be open, and it just showed us in this game today. As far as the quarterback goes, as far as the offense goes, no quarterback played great. Brady won another Super Bowl. He did not play great. He had a pick, I believe it was the first throw of the game. He wasn't great. He had a couple good throws to Edelman. Edelman was on fire. Wade Phillips did a great job of stopping those James White passes out of the backfield. And as far as Jared Goff goes, Goff shrinks in big moments. We've seen this time and time again. Nothing changed in this game. I know we predicted it a little bit on our pregame show on Thursday. Goff isn't good in big moments. He's not a guy who's going to step up when the game's on the line, when his back's against the wall, and he's not going to make those throws to win the game. The one throw he had to Brandon Cooks in the back of the end zone, Cooks was wide open for 10 yards and he didn't even hit him. By the time Goff realized that Cooks was open, it was way too late, and he ended up throwing a duck in the back of the end zone, and Cooks is just standing there waiting for it. And the defender was 10, 15 yards away, but he's able to catch up to him just because, how slow of a throw it was. And it seems like Goff, a lot of his throws are just slow, wounded ducks that just barely get there or they're low. He's just, I don't know. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback because obviously he's not. He got to the Super Bowl. I think Sean McVay is a lot of the reason why Jared Goff has resurrected his career. And I think Sean McVay is a big reason as to why Jared Goff is thought of as a good, Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. But he's just not. And pure talent-wise, his mechanics are off. Something's off. And I've always said this since he was drafted. Something's weird about Jared Goff and the way he throws. I like Jared Goff. I think he's a good guy. But I don't know. I just think he shrinks in big moments. I just don't think his mechanics are all there. But being a guy who was a scout team center, I guess I really don't know that much about quarterback mechanics. But it's just, I don't know, just something I watch as a fan. I just don't like watching Jared Goff throw the football. Todd Gurley, I think he's got to be hurt. I know a lot of people are wondering, what happened to Gurley? What happened to Gurley? Why wasn't he, out there for the majority of the game? A guy like that, a weapon like that, why wasn't he getting the carries that we thought he deserved? Obviously, everybody thinks he deserved more carries, but I think he's hurt. I think, C.J. Anderson has been a really good backup this year, something to where it's not that big of a loss if your starter goes out because you do have C.J. Anderson in the backfield, but Gurley is a once-in-a-generational talent. To not play him in the biggest moment of this team's life so far doesn't make sense to me. The only reason that makes sense is if he's hurt. And they did kind of the thing where, he's not hurt all week. He's going to play. He's fine. His knee's fine. Just to kind of throw up a smoke screen in front of the Patriots. It made no sense to me. And then when he got carries, though, when he got a couple carries there in the second half, he started to gash the Patriots a little bit, and they started to move the ball. Now, obviously, they went away from that, which makes no sense to me, which is why I think Gurley was hurt. I think that knee is still bothering him. As far as the commercials and halftime show goes, they were average at best. Nothing really stood out to me. I love the NFL 100 commercial. That was pretty good. But other than that, the halftime show, Maroon 5 was alright. Travis Scott was alright. Nothing really of noteworthy happened during the halftime show, which I guess is good. The NFL is kind of trying to get away from noteworthy political events, and the halftime show was just meh. It wasn't anything exciting. It's not going to write headlines, I don't think, and it was just kind of boring. Same with the commercials. Nothing was really exciting with the commercials. It was kind of boring. But it was a historic Super Bowl, I guess. The lowest scoring Super Bowl ever. The longest punt ever. So we did witness a couple cool things. Especially for big football fans, it was a pretty good game. As far as where we go from here, the Rams, still one of the youngest teams in the league. They got a lot of questions in this offseason, though, with a lot of their defensive talents are leaving because they did all those one-year deals. Like you remember with Sue, they paid him a pretty big one-year deal. So it depends on where he ends up. But again, at the end of the day, they still have McVay, they still have Goff, they still have Gurley, and they do have Aaron Donald. So the Rams will be back. I believe they'll be back in this game. This is just the first of many, I think, for them. Hopefully. And because if it's not, they really blew a big opportunity. Because McVay really kind of shrunk in this game. The offensive mastermind only putting up 3 points in the Super Bowl isn't a great look for him. Not only him, but every coach that got hired because of him. As far as the Patriots go, is Gronk done? I think Gronk is going to retire. I think he's done. He only had 1 or 2 catches in this game. He has that Jason Witten type of run at the end of his career where it just looks like it's so painful every time he catches and runs the ball. And it looks like every time he gets tackled, it takes a little bit to bring him down, but it's just hit after hit after hit to bring him down. And I think he's done. Like I said, he runs like, one of those baby deer that were just born. They just don't know how to walk, and he's just all straight-legged. It's awkward. He said he's going to, celebrate this Super Bowl win and then decide what he's going to do. I think he's going to retire. I think it's the end of his career for him. And he'll end up being easily a Hall of Famer. But as far as Brady goes, Brady said this would be 0% chance this would be his last game, but 6 rings now. Maybe he wants to go for the 7th to be, to have the most Super Bowls of all time. Maybe. I just can't believe that he makes it there again. I don't want to pick against them. I'm not going to pick against them if it's Brady Belichick again this next year. But he's got to slow down. And I think, we've seen it time and time again. He hasn't been playing the best over the last couple of weeks, last couple of years. He hasn't been, the Tom Brady of the old. But he is continuing to impress me day after day after day. Every day he gets older, and it just seems like he stays consistently, decent, with those little check down passes. But we'll see what happens with Brady. If this is the end of the line for him, I think that would be the smartest decision. You walk away with 6 Super Bowl rings, the most by any player, and then you just retire. You go out on top like Peyton Manning, like Ray Lewis, and just go ahead and end your career like that. But I just don't think Brady will end it like that. I think he wants to get to 7. Maybe if he gets to 7, he'll retire, but who knows? We'll see. And at the end of the day, if he does come back next year and they lose, in the playoffs, or something happens where the league just completely engulfs itself in flames and the Patriots don't make the playoffs, and then he decides to retire after that, I don't think anybody's going to fault him for that. So I think, Brady's already cemented himself as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and if he doesn't go out on top, I don't think it will matter to him that much. But that's a Super Bowl, 13-3, a real barn burner for us, and really changed the landscape of the NFL, I guess you could say. But this is going to go down as one of the most boring Super Bowls of all time. Average commercials, average halftime show, below average type of game. And, at the end of the day, Brady got his 6 rings. It sucks. America cries when Brady wins another Super Bowl. But hopefully this will push him towards his retirement, although we don't know for sure. Other news in the NFL that was released over this weekend, or actually I think this was released Friday. Julius Peppers, all-time great linebacker, retired after 17 seasons. He has about 160 sacks, 159.5, but he's a Packer, so we'll round that up to 160. That puts him 4th all-time on the sack list behind Kevin Green, Reggie White, and Bruce Smith, 3 all-time greats. 3 out of the 4 all-time sack leaders have been involved with the Packers organization at one point in their lifetime or career, which is interesting. But again, he played for the Bears. He played for the Panthers mostly. I think people mostly remember him on the Panthers. And then he played 3 years with the Packers. But I know a lot of people remember him for the Panthers. He went Panthers, Bears, Packers, and then back to the Panthers for 2 years. He was a force on the Bears, and he was a force on the Packers too. 3 first-team All-Pros, easily going to be a Hall of Famer in 2024. That's when he's first eligible. Julius Peppers, all-time great, all-time force, and another Packer. Hopefully, he will be going to the Hall of Fame in 2024. But that's it for that. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame, though. Let's stick on that. The Hall of Fame class was announced over the weekend at the NFL Honors Show. We're not going to get into the NFL Honors today because we do have the Kendall Lamm interview and we got some stuff we want to talk about with basketball. So we don't have really much time to talk about the Honors Show, nor do we have much time to go into each individual Hall of Famer and what they did during their career. So I'm going to try to split that up, maybe go into it more detail on Thursday. But the Hall of Fame class, Ed Reed, Ty Law, Tony Gonzalez, Kevin Mulvey, Champ Bailey, Johnny Robinson, Gil Brandt, Pat Bowlen. So some of those names on that list, I think Ed Reed, Ty Law, Tony Gonzalez, Champ Bailey, and Kevin Mulvey, I can't pronounce that name, are all first-time Hall of Famers, first ballot Hall of Famers, and they all deserve it. So good for them. Tony Gonzalez was a force, and this is really, we're starting to get into it more. These guys, Ed Reed, Ty Law, Tony Gonzalez, Champ Bailey, these are guys I remember watching when I was growing up, so it's kind of cool because, usually in the past, the guys that got in are guys I didn't really watch, but I remember a lot of these guys, during my, childhood growing up, playing with them on Madden and stuff, so it's cool to see them get in. And we'll go, like I said, we'll go into a little bit more detail towards the end, maybe on the show on Thursday. But again, we do have a lot on the show, so I don't have the time to go into it detail by detail. But that's it for the Hall of Fame class. All these guys deserve it. I don't think there really was any true snubs. Obviously, every year, if you only let in a certain amount of people, there's going to be snubs every year. There's guys people think should get in almost every single year that don't. But it's a good class. It's a solid class. I'm excited to watch them be inducted. Other news in the NFL, Brian Flores and Zach Taylor were both hired after the Super Bowl. Zach Taylor by the Bengals, Brian Flores by the Dolphins. Flores, that's a hot name right now. He was with Belichick coaching that Super Bowl. He coached a great game, so he's coming off of that. Zach Taylor's coming off a Super Bowl loss. At the end of the day, what Truman says, I think it's the most true thing I've ever heard. Zach Taylor may not be the perfect candidate for the Rams, but at least he's a new, guy. At least he's some fresh blood into that organization, which I think they really desperately need. So good for them. That's it for NFL. Oh, one more storyline. The Chiefs next year, they are favored to win the Super Bowl. I think they have 6-1 odds. Other notable thing with the odds is the Browns have the 12th best odds. So clearly they're climbing up that list in terms of respect in the NFL. So there's that. We're going to move now to basketball. We've had a crazy couple of days due to the trade deadline coming up on Thursday. But before that, I had to remind you guys our show is brought to you by A's Lawn Service. Since 2014, A's Lawn Service has been providing professional landscaping at a low and fair price. Turn to A's Lawn Service for all your landscaping and home needs, and you will not be disappointed. It's been cold out the last couple of weeks, last couple of days, really cold out. But now it's starting to thaw out a little bit. Spring is in the air. It's starting to kind of get in everybody's mind, spring and summer. Don't waste your time enjoying your spring and your summer, mowing the lawn, mulching, whatever. Turn to A's Lawn Service, and trust me, you will not be disappointed. They're going to do great work. They're not going to, waste your time or money. They're going to make your lawn and your home look great. So make sure you check them out. The phone number is 330-241-2392. Again, 330-241-2392, and the email is lawnservice.a's@gmail.com. A's Lawn Service LLC. You grow it, we cut it. So let's talk basketball. We missed out on the Porzingis trade. We didn't really talk about that much. I think that was released after the show on Thursday after we recorded. So let's get into it a little bit. The Mavs and the Knicks made a trade. The Mavericks got Tim Hardaway, Courtney Lee, Kristaps Porzingis, and Trey Burke. Obviously, Porzingis being the main piece of that trade. And then the Knicks got DeAndre Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., Wesley Matthews, and a first-round pick. What this does for the Knicks is it opens up 2 max roster spots for them to play around with next summer, this upcoming summer, which is huge because they do have a lot of free agents, a lot of notable free agents: Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis has an option. There's a lot of things, a lot of guys available for them if they want to sign a big name free agent. Now with Kristaps gone, it is easier for them to pay for these free agents. In my opinion, I think the Mavericks got the better deal with this trade. Not only did they get Porzingis, who is going to be Dirk's replacement once he retires, and he's a really good young player, and I think people underestimate how good he is because he's been hurt. They also got Tim Hardaway and Courtney Lee, who are some good shooters on the outside, and Trey Burke has really kind of resurrected his career, making himself a pretty good point guard. I just think the Knicks made a bad decision on this. Porzingis is a once-in-a-generational talent. His nickname is the Unicorn. We all know that. He is a once-in-a-generational talent. To get rid of somebody like Kristaps is like the Bears kind of getting rid of Khalil Mack. You try, that first-round pick you got, or those free agent spots you got, you try to lure in a player like Kristaps with one of those things. You try to sign a free agent who's like Kristaps. You try to draft a player that's like him. And to just get rid of him like that, it just makes no sense to me. And as far as Kristaps Porzingis goes, to ask for a trade That just proves to me Carmelo Anthony's legacy in New York. Carmelo Anthony stuck it out in New York. He didn't ask for a trade. They ended up trading him because obviously they were going through a little bit of a rebuilding process. He stuck it out. He wanted to grind it out and pull New York up by its bootstraps. Porzingis just wasn't interested in doing that. Now, obviously, we don't know what went on in that organization, but he never gave the fans. The fans liked him at the end there, and obviously, he was booed when he got drafted and stuff like that. But they ended up loving him there, and to just kind of spit in the fans' face like that and ask for a trade and just get out like it was nothing. If I'm a Knicks fan, that hurts me a lot, and I'd be pissed off at him. But again, at the end of the day, if he just didn't feel like he could thrive there, and he had to feel like he could go somewhere else, more power to him. I think the Mavericks are going to get a great deal, a great player in Porzingis. I think, like I said, he's going to be Dirk's replacement, and to run, kind of offense around him and Doncic for the next couple of years, it's going to be a force in the NBA, and it's going to be fun to watch. So like I said, the trade deadline is the 7th. That's Thursday, so February 7th. It starts at 3 Eastern is when the deadline goes through. I expect a couple more deals to happen. As far as Anthony Davis goes, I don't think he's going to get moved. I think he's going to end up, this is going to backfire on him. The Lakers, we've seen some of the deals they've tried to convince the Pelicans to take. They're basically throwing their whole roster at the Pelicans to try and get Anthony Davis. And I don't think the Pelicans want any of those players. I get it. They're young. They're hungry players. But they haven't really shown, because they had it pretty much last year. What the Pelicans would be getting is basically what the Lakers were last year. And they weren't great last year. I think guys like Ingram, Lonzo, like I said, Lonzo, Kuzma, these guys are young, and they haven't really proved enough to me that I want to give away my once-in-a-generational talent like that for them. I guess what's going to happen is Danny Ainge has been Danny Ainge. They said it on one of my favorite podcasts. Do not pick up the phone when Danny Ainge is calling, because he is going to convince you to do something, and whatever he convinces you to do, you're going to end up looking like a loser in that trade. But I guess what he's doing right now is he's calling the Pelicans and is convincing them to stay with Anthony Davis till July 1st and then trade him to the Celtics. And I guess whatever he's offering them is way better than what the Lakers is offering. Because to have to play another half a season with Anthony Davis is going to be very awkward, and fans aren't going to like him. He's going to get booed. And it's going to be kind of fun to watch as a guy who likes to watch chaos kind of in the NBA. It's going to be fun to watch. But because like we said, the NBA is the most petty, rumorous organization in the league. Yesterday we saw Lonzo Ball took the Lakers out of his bio on Twitter and Instagram. LeVar Ball's back in the media saying he wants Lonzo to go to Phoenix, not New Orleans. So it's going to be kind of an interesting. Lonzo Ball, his dad LeVar, is screwing this deal kind of for the Lakers, because the Pelicans aren't going to want to take Lonzo and LeVar Ball, because once you get Lonzo, you get LeVar too, and LeVar is going to be complaining about New Orleans the whole time. It's not going to be something that they want to deal with. So he's kind of screwing that deal for them. But February 7th at 3 is the deadline. I doubt Anthony Davis gets moved before then. I think he stays pat with the Pelicans for the rest of the season, and then I think he gets moved to the Celtics come the summer. July 1st, I think, is when he can be traded. But the other deal we had was Rodney Hood was traded to the Trailblazers for Nick Stauskas, Wade Baldwin IV, and 2 second-round picks. This is a good deal for the Cavs. Rodney Hood wasn't really producing for them. Stauskas and Baldwin are pretty good young players. They're good role players, good young role players. And then they got 2 second-round picks, which they could use the package to move up, or they could just pick players with that. Stauskas came out of Michigan, first-round draft pick. He's been moved around more than anybody. He's one of those guys. He's like Evan Turner. They just get moved, and Doug McDermott. They just get moved and traded time and time again in these deals. And teams just keep taking them, and they just keep getting traded. So I feel bad for him. But again, he's still in the NBA, so how bad can you feel for an NBA guy who's getting to play basketball as his career? But again, Thursday was our show, but we didn't really get to talk about things that happened on Thursday night, like the All-Star reserves getting announced. So we'll go through that right now. In the East, it was Blake Griffin, Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, Bradley Beal, Ben Simmons, Chris Middleton, Nikolai Vucevic from the Magic, and then Dwayne Wade was added at the end. Kind of being because this is his last season, so they added him at the end. Obviously, Oladipo is hurt, so they replaced him with D'Angelo Russell, which was a good decision because he's having a great season. Shout out to Ohio State. We got another All-Star in there. But as far as looking at this list, I think there's really no shockers here. I think Beal, Simmons deserved it. Lowry, Griffin, all these guys, are NBA All-Stars through and through. Chris Middleton is interesting from the Bucks. He's had a pretty good season. He's been a pretty underrated scorer in his career. So to get him into the All-Star game was cool, kind of put him on the map a little bit. And then you just go to the West. Russell Westbrook, LaMarcus Aldridge, Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, Nikola Jokic, and then Dirk Nowitzki again was added at the end. Him and Wade were added at the end because this is kind of the end of their careers. So last season put them in the All-Star game. Though that West bench right there though could beat the East starters, and that just shows the disparity in talent between the two divisions. Biggest snubs, I would say, are Doncic, Tobias Harris, and Gobert. We saw Gobert crying because he didn't make the All-Star team. And yeah, that sucks. Yeah, that's sad. But why? What are you crying for? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're going to win Defensive MVP. All-Stars aren't that important. It's not going to, win your team games. I get it. You work your ass off and you try to get to the All-Star game, and when you don't make it, it sucks. But who are you going to take out in the West and put Gobert in? He's an All-Star. He deserves it. But there's just too much talent in the West to make an All-Star team. If you're Rudy Gobert, you can't. He's been a little hurt this season. He hasn't played in every single game. That hurts him a lot too. But you can't really take any of these guys out to put Rudy Gobert in. So yeah, it sucks. To see him cry, put things in perspective a little bit, sure. But at the end of the day, who are you going to take out to put Rudy Gobert in? You can't take any of these guys out. So yeah, that sucks. But what are you going to do? Baseball. Last quick baseball thing. We don't have much on baseball. We're still waiting on Machado and Harper to sign. We got about 12 to 13 days until pitchers and catchers start to report. And there's still some big names left out there to be signed, especially Machado and Harper. I think once one falls, I think the other will fall. Harper's been keeping it kind of a secret. I don't really know when Machado's going to sign his deal with the White Sox, but it's got to be soon because we're getting there. But that is it for baseball. Like I said, we don't have much on baseball. We're still waiting on these guys to sign. But we're going to move now to our interview with Kendall Lamm. But before that, D's Home Cuts. D's Home Cuts is the best place around Northeast Ohio for a great haircut at a low price. For only $7, D's Home Cuts will provide you with a modern haircut and styling. Since we've started this show, I'd say about 90% of our guests have gotten their haircut at D's at least once, or they're lifetime clients. Sorry about that pause. My dog was barking and I didn't want it to sound in the podcast. But again, at least 90% of our guests have been clients with D's. We're lifelong clients of D's Home Cuts. Check them out. $7. You can count that on your fingers. You don't have to. You won't find a cheaper haircut anywhere around Northeast Ohio, or even in Ohio, even in the country. You won't find a cheaper haircut. And best of all of it, that $7 goes straight to Dom's pockets. It's not like you're paying $20 and 10 of it goes to the Great Clips corporate headquarters. This money goes straight to Dom's pockets. A nice college entrepreneur. Dom's continuing to grow this business, so check him out, D's Home Cuts. Check out his Instagram at D's Home Cuts. DM him for an appointment or set it up directly in his bio. You can also check out his YouTube page that he started, Unlimited Dom. I've talked about it before. Great place if you want to start to lose weight. Dom is starting this weight loss channel. You follow along with his weight loss journey. He's running those 5Ks. He's running those races that he's trying to do. He's also continuing to lose weight so he can get down to his goal. So check him out, D's Home Cuts or Unlimited Dom. D's Home Cuts, though, professional haircuts at a low price. So this is our interview with Kendall Lamm. Great guest, one of the best guests we've had on. The first, I believe, first guest we've had on that started a game this past season. He started 13 games, I think, with the Texans. I think that includes the playoff game versus the Colts. Week 3, their starting right tackle went down with an injury, so Kendall Lamm came in, and he started the rest of the season, and he played great. He played so well. Bill O'Brien even called him the most improved player he's ever been around. He's somebody who, he talked about a little bit in the interview about how Kobe Bryant is his favorite athlete because of his work mentality. Kendall Lamm has this kind of Mamba mentality. He was at Appalachian State, a small college, undrafted, worked his way onto the roster for the Texans, onto the practice squad, was waived at one point, but just kept working and grinding, going against all-time greats like Jadeveon Clowney and J.J. Watt every single day in practice, just working and grinding to get there. And now he's starting to see it pay off. He started a bunch of these games this season. He played really well. That Texans offensive line was a lot improved from the last couple years, and Kendall Lamm was a big reason behind that. It's not easy blocking for a guy like Deshaun Watson, a mobile guy, because you have to hold your blocks a little bit longer. He talks about that. Just a great interview, a great guy. Check it out. We're really appreciative that he came on. So here he is, Texans offensive lineman Kendall Lamm.
All right. So we now welcome on NFL offensive lineman Kendall Lamm. How's your offseason going?
It's going pretty good, man. It's nice to get back home to Charlotte, reconnect with the family, kind of get to work here as I have an off-season routine and everything. So it's just nice to go into this phase of the football career.
So what's your typical off season looking like? Did you take a break in between working out, or did you just jump right back into it?
So of course playing more this year. Took about a week and a half, 2-week break, maybe 2.5-ish, and just let my body relax. Let it kind of heal up some. I didn't really feel that bad after the season. I actually kind of felt pretty good, so I was kind of eager to get back going. I'm not the type of person who likes to sit around and not do much, kind of get the itch to start at least doing some physical activity. So I've been doing that for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. And, I mean, nothing intense right now. I'll work my way back up, but I just got to at least be doing something,
Yeah. So let's talk about last year with Houston Texans. You guys started the season 0-3, and then you get to start in week 4 and you guys win 9 straight. What do you think the main reason was behind this winning streak?
I mean, there are of course different factors. I just think we kind of bought in. 0-3, your back's really against the wall. You can either go two ways. You can either tank, and there's the end of the season right there. Because as you know it, if you go 0-4 or 0-5 in an NFL season, it's kind of hard to climb out of that hole, more or less an 0-3 hole. But we kind of just bought in collectively. Guys didn't really point the fingers. Guys just went to work. We worked on our craft, worked on the little things, and then we built a little chemistry, and then things of course started to get to rolling. So the rest kind of played out how it played out.
Yeah, definitely. So what was the atmosphere like during that 9-game winning streak? Was it pretty fun being around the locker room during that?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, man, it's fun being in there regardless. I mean, just from our perspective, it's a blessing to be doing what we're doing. But, the city had more of a buzz. The fans are always good. They always pack it out. But, things were a little louder. Everybody was asking this and that. So, I mean, of course, winning solves a lot of things. And Houston has wanted a winner for a long time. So, it was definitely fun.
Yeah, so let's talk about, your career a little bit. You've made actually some pretty great improvements so far in your game. You started as an undrafted free agent. You were on the practice squad, and I saw you were even waived at one point. Even Coach O'Brien said that you were one of the most improved guys he's ever worked with. How do you think, you improved your game so quickly?
From my standpoint, it's just, being really honest with yourself. Looking yourself in the mirror when things may not have gone the way you wanted it to, and, pinpointing some things that you needed to work on and really and truly staying with the process. If you have to tweak that sometimes, you make the tweaks and the adjustments you need, but it's more or less, in my opinion, just not listening to the outside noise. You take the opinions and that you need to within the building, but for the most part, for me, I just clock in, do what I need to do, and clock out. It really just, it's a credit to the way I was raised and the way I know how to grind. I've noticed in life some people really don't understand or know how to just put their nose down and get to work, and I'm thankful that I really know how to do that. So it's definitely been a blessing.
Yeah, that's awesome. From a rookie to now, what aspect of your game did you improve on the most?
I would say it would be just having a grasp of the NFL game. Like you don't really get that until you play, until you're out there, until you learn how to make adjustments on the fly. You learn how to watch film. Even though I knew how to watch film before, you learn how to break it down even more. You learn so much when you're the guy that has to prepare week in and week out for somebody in various different rushers. So, it's taught me, of course, I always thought I was a good pro, but at the same time, just being a better pro, just diving deeper into your craft. And at the same time, it should be fun because, football is a young man's game, and, we're fortunate enough to be still playing it. But it's just made me really and truly look at myself overall and, just make the fine tweaks there. But as I said before, you really can't do those things from a knowledge standpoint and intellectual standpoint until you've played a lot. And I think I learned that a lot this year.
How much did it help going against guys like Watt and Clowney during practice?
You can't simulate that. They're two of the best in the game. It's especially me being at right tackle. I'll go against JJ all the time because that's, in my opinion, that's how he likes to rush more against the right tackle. And I just told myself every day. I can remember being a rookie coming in and getting snaps against him early, and then as the years progressed, getting more and more and more. I looked at JJ. When I look at JJ, I don't see what you guys see. I see somebody that, no offense to him, but that's standing in my way. I have to do what I need to do to block him, and you learn the ins and outs of how to do that. You learn his game, and the same thing with Clowney because I played left side as well. So you just learn, and like I said, they're two of the best. So going against them every day and learning little techniques to put into your game against them, it's a big thing. So,
is it different blocking for a guy like Watson? He's a little bit more mobile. Is it different blocking for like a mobile quarterback than just a pocket passer?
Yeah. I would lie to you and say if it wasn't. Sometimes he's going to be able to extend the play, use his legs and all that. That in my opinion, your time clock has to go forever. Because he does move, he does like to, be very, very mobile in the pocket, and he's actually a very good passer as well. So, in my opinion, you just have to know, like, you have to stay on your man a little bit longer. You have to run him a little bit longer because the play's never dead with him.
Yeah, that's true.
What was your first start like? Did you notice like the change of speed from college to the NFL? I know you said you definitely saw that, but what was your first start like, getting through the nerves, I'm sure? How did you do? How do you think it was?
Oh, so of course I got the opportunity to play, very early. I played a good amount my rookie year, and I can remember my first meaningful snaps in the NFL were my first year, and I actually played right tackle was against Carolina Panthers. I didn't start that game, but I finished halfway through the second quarter through the rest of the game. And I just remember just seeing in general, like, these guys rotate in and rotate out, and they're as fast, they're as big. Your keys, like, you have to really and truly watch the film to be able to tell the keys because they happen so fast, and if you're not prepared for it, then it can be disastrous out there. But, I know everybody says the speed because it's the truth. Like, you've got 6'5", 6'6", 300-pound men across the line from you that have quickness as fast as, some great athletes. So it's like that you have to be as prepared as you can, which makes it a lot easier for you. So, it was definitely different, though.
Do you talk trash during the game?
No, I'm personally not really the biggest talker out there. I'm more focused on, what I have to do within this play. I'll always go over in my mind, how this person rushed me, how this happened, how that happened, what I saw on film, deciphering information. I know some guys do it, and that's a credit to them that they can. But from my standpoint, I try to keep as much energy as I can because offensive line play, especially tackle, is already hard as it is.
So you said you noticed the change of speed. Was there another change of speed when you guys made the playoffs this year to the wild card game? Did you notice
For sure. The playoffs are a whole different animal. The little minute mistakes that can happen in the regular season have a greater impact in the playoffs because they're that much more meaningful in those type of games, and guys know that this might be the last time they play. So not to say that they don't give everything every game during the regular season, but you're for sure going to get it in the playoffs. So it definitely picks up in the intensity. Definitely goes to a different notch.
So you mentioned, Watt and Clowney. Other than those two guys, who's the hardest guy you think you've had to block during your NFL career? Not even NFL, even college.
Let's see. Well, I went against Von Miller this year. He was very good. I went against DeMarcus Lawrence this year. He was very good. He's one of the, in my opinion, the better young defensive ends, pass rushing wise, and even in the run game, he's very good. Let me think. A lot of guys probably won't give as much credit as the guys I named before. I'm pretty sure it's Trent Murphy from Buffalo Bills. He played at Stanford. He was with the Redskins when I first got in the NFL. We went up there and scrimmaged them during my first training camp. He's a very savvy, very, very good rusher in my opinion. He uses his strengths well. Very, very, very intelligent as well. But I went against a good amount, even from Michael Bennett this year to Chris Long. I saw a very good.
A lot of it.
Yeah, different style rushers who have been very good in their career. So it was definitely different, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. What do you think is the biggest misconception surrounding offensive linemen today?
I would say it's changed from when I was younger to now, but it's still a little different. We're actually hell of athletes, man.
Yeah.
We're more athletic than people realize. I can remember, I come home and I do these drills with certain people, foot speed, movements, lateral quickness, and everything. Now, running for long distances, and we might not be as fast, but I can promise you my foot speed and everything and my attention to detail is as good, if not better, than most athletes. And another thing that people fail to realize, even though we weigh more, our core is actually stronger than almost anyone's. I can promise you I do more core work than most of the guys you see with these beautiful 6 and 8 packs in other people's minds. Even though I personally don't have that, I can promise you my core is stronger than his. So, but of course, us being bigger, he can't move, blah, blah, blah. But if you get a majority of us on a basketball court, you'll see that for yourself.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So you're a free agent now. Your contract ended. If the Texans don't decide to bring you back, what are you going to be looking for when choosing your next team? Is there anything certain?
My biggest thing is, and I've told my agent and other people this as well, I just want to go to a place where in my opinion the best fit and the best coaching, because in my opinion offensive line, especially from an offensive line standpoint, our game is about being big and strong and quick feet and everything, but it's a technical game. Technique is so big in offensive line play, from your hand placement to how you kick to how you see things from a certain set of eyes, like technique. And I just want to go somewhere, if it's not staying in Houston, of course, where technique will be drilled to the max, because in my opinion that's how you continue to progress and you continue to get better. So I'll be intrigued to see how it plays out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Just some questions now that we ask most people. Who's your favorite athlete growing up?
It has to be Kobe Bryant. I'm a big Kobe fan. From the sense of his mentality, how he worked within the game. I know things happen off the court. That's life. People make mistakes, but at the same time, you can't tell me that anybody in the NBA throughout his career probably outworked him. So, and in my opinion, that's one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in life. You get out of what you put into it. So, just his mentality of putting that work in stood out to me big time.
Mm-hmm.
So, who do you think, in your opinion, is the best offensive lineman in NFL history?
Ooh. Let's see. I know I'm thinking from a tackle standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't want to mispronounce his name. Anthony Munoz, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Was a very, very, very good tackle, offensive lineman. The guy, and I'm going blank on his name, the guard that was in Dallas forever. Big giant. What is his name?
Newton?
What is it? No. What's his first name?
I can't remember. You want to look it up, Truman?
Yeah. All I know is he's the one who benched at the pro, and I've watched so much film of him, and I can't believe I'm going blank. He benched like 45 reps on 225. Like, it was literally nothing. Animal. But, I mean, even from the standpoint of now, you know, I remember just from my watching football, I know I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. Watching Jordan Gross was huge. One of my teammates, Dwayne Brown, was phenomenal. You know, I've actually seen, you know, really good offensive linemen in the league right now. You know, I watch Zach Martin all the time. I watch Brandon Brooks all the time. I love, and our coach wasn't the biggest fan of him, but I love watching Taylor Lewan. I love his film.
Yeah.
I mean, just how he goes about things. So, I mean, it's all over, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll wrap this up here. What's your favorite sports memory of all time?
Still to this day, winning the state championship in high school. My senior year, we went undefeated, and we brought the first football state title back to Butler. So that's something I'll cherish.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yep, definitely. And then your Super Bowl pick for Sunday.
Ooh, I've been asked this question a lot. In my opinion, man, it's hard to bet against Tom. I mean, people bet against him a lot. I mean, people have said so much. I can remember seeing earlier in the year when they didn't have the best start, the Patriots are done, blah blah blah. But if you have a guy like that at the helm, at your quarterback, you know he's ice cold, man. When the time comes and the lights come on, especially at the most critical moments, he's the best to ever do it. And I mean, it's been shown over and over. So I'm not going to say they win, but at the same time, it's hard to go against them. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we have here. You got anything else, Sherman?
Nope. I think we're good.
All right. We thank you, man. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, brother. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks, guys.
So there was an interview with NFL offensive lineman Kendall Lamm. He is a free agent this year, which is why we called him NFL offensive lineman. But he was with the Texans last year. Great interview with him. We really appreciate him coming on, getting kind of a different perspective than what we usually have here. Great interview. I believe we're at 5 now. We have at 5 professional athlete interviews so far, and we just got through the month of January, and we got a bunch of stuff coming up. We got a lot of stuff in the works right now. Can't really say it because I don't want to say it and then it not happen, but we got a couple interviews already scheduled. We got a couple interviews. We already talked to a lot of guys. So there's some big things coming up in the future for us. So check it out. You're going to want to be following our Twitter, though, to get the kind of sneak peek about who's coming on. But that's our show. That's the end of our show today. We want to thank you to our sponsors, D's Home Cuts and A's Lawn Service. They continue to support the show. They've been supporting the show since the beginning. We ask that you go onto iTunes, give us 5 stars, rate, review us, and subscribe. Follow us on Spotify. Find us also on YouTube. And then you can also listen to us tomorrow on 12ounce. Sports.com from 7 to 8 a.m. as well as GrandOldSports.com. So a million ways to listen, a million ways to check out and consume this awesome podcast that we put on for you guys. You can also follow us on Twitter, at TNT Sports Talk 12. That is where you can find everything. If you ever want to reach us personally, go to Twitter, send us a DM. You can send us questions, comments, concerns, stuff you didn't like, stuff you like. If you want to be a guest on the show, if you have questions you want us to answer on the show, Twitter is the place to go. Our DMs are always open. We'll also be posting the day before the show a little sneak peek about what's to come on the show. So check it out, TNT Sports Talk 12. But other than that, I think that's all we have. Have a great day. Tune in on Thursday. We're going to have another interview for you on Thursday. Check out the Twitter to find out who it is. Another great guy coming on. It's going to be interesting. So check it out on Thursday. But other than that, have a great day, guys. Thanks.